What's poppin', Mexipino family? My name is Nico Blitz, and before we start this podcast, you might have seen on me and Jackie's new Instagram at Mexipino Shop that we just dropped some merchandise. Now, if you're looking at this on YouTube, it is a very nice shirt with some puff print lettering that says "I love you" in the front and "Mahal kita" and "Te amo" in the back. Let me just show y'all really quick. Oh yeah. Oh, yeah. So it's a cool shirt. And specifically for all of you guys listening to the podcast, we wanted to do something nice and offer y'all a discount. If you are listening to this podcast right now, make sure that you use discount code HART5. That is Heart5, because the guy we have on this podcast, Russell, he has a project and a song out called Heartbreak. Now, even though our merchandise isn't about heartbreak, we still wanted to incorporate it in a way that made sense, right? So, capital H, capital ART, all caps, 5, and use that discount code on our Shopify link at Mexipino Shop so you can get $5 off this shirt, because why not, yo? Let's get into the podcast with Russell. Yay! Kamusta na kayo?
Hola, hola, everyone.
Hello. What's cracking? What's cracking?
What's cracking? You know what? Oddly enough, that was probably one of the better introductions that our guests just come up with off the fly. Sometimes we just have that blank open space.
Yeah.
So congratulations, bro. Congratulations. Ladies and gentlemen, I've known about this guy basically half my life.
Hell yeah.
This might be the first introduction. Russell. Russell is lovely on IG. What's up, Russell?
We actually have
got the air horn going.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Dude.
What up, man? Hello.
Hey, man. How's everything? He came all the way straight from Canada today just to play with Benny.
Yeah.
Sorry, the dog is.
No, you're good.
I've been trying to.
He
have
literally
fun
has
here with
picked
me.
you as okay, I'm gonna
Yeah.
be with him. Oh,
Yeah.
now he's laying down by your feet. You're all set.
Yeah, you're good now, bro.
I'm happy to be here, though, man.
Yeah, how's the flight?
It was cool. I slept on half of it, so
Yeah.
But the other half, I was just trying to. I was doing the whole I make music geek thing and hearing through mixes and stuff. And
Nice.
when I landed, I got the master in, so I was like, "Oh, cool!" It was cool.
Damn, how long was that flight?
It was. It's what, 6 hours to? Yeah, Toronto to LA is 6 hours, I think.
You know, it's funny because we've been to Vancouver a couple times over the past year. So I don't know. In my head, I was already embedded okay, he's coming from Vancouver, so that's a quick flight.
You forgot Canada has so many more.
So a lot of Americans' perception of Canada is like one place. Yeah, no, it's funny when you're a Canadian and you meet Americans and they it's very I get it. It's a completely different country, so you think everything's in close proximity.
Yeah.
But yeah, Vancouver's definitely west. And we're definitely east.
So let me ask you this. So, we're currently in California right now. At any point, did you think Los Angeles and the Bay Area were close to each other?
No. Actually,
Okay.
Yeah, from hip hop songs, I always learned that was Northern California.
Yeah.
You know what I
Okay.
mean? So I kind of, in my head, pictured oh, okay.
There's a distance there.
Yeah, this is how it's laid out. Yeah. But yeah, funny enough too, MySpace has always kind of tied me into figuring out more of Bay Area culture and where it is. So
Yeah. Well, there's a whole bunch of Filipinos in the Bay Area, bro. So I can
Yeah.
imagine a good amount of your fan base is actually from there too.
a lot. Yes, a lot. And I fuck with it. I've always had love from there, and
Yeah.
I've always, it's funny too because MySpace and early YouTube, it was a lot of people from the Bay showing me a lot of love.
Yeah,
So-
man. Well, it's funny, and I actually just told Jackie this just yesterday, and she didn't know about this, but you and we met in person. I think it was at Twee's video
Yeah,
shoot.
so random.
It was random, and she was like, "Do you know this guy Russell?" I was like, "Yes, I do actually." "Why is he here?" And then she was like, "Oh yeah, he's just here for a day or something."
Yeah. I was hanging out. My friends were working on the video.
Oh, okay.
So I think it was my friend Acer that was producing it. But I just came on set because he was there, and I was staying with one of my homies that I think was the AC for that video.
Hell yeah.
So I was like, yeah, I'll just come out. Like, why the fuck not? And then I showed up, and Pilo was there, and you guys were there, and we were in a crowd scene, and I was like, I'm down,
this was the one with Pilo.
Inhibition.
Inhibition.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and it was funny because I was just like, I wonder if I'm gonna know anybody, or like if anybody, if I could fuck with some people. But I was like, I'll make friends. I'll figure it out. That's how I am, like, really anywhere. But yeah, we clicked, and then I noticed, because I think at around that time you did like a TikTok to one of like a couple of my songs. You did like a MySpace compilation TikTok.
Yeah.
So I already knew your face from that. But yeah, like that was like our formal in-person meet.
Yeah,
it's
man.
funny because like a lot of people like will see Nico and be like, oh, you're the MySpace DJ, and I'm just like, oh my god, this is hilarious.
Yo, I mean, the content works. It definitely spreads.
I mean, that era, for people who don't know, like that's the era where like I knew you from when you were still at that point like D-Pryde.
Yeah.
Right? And so it was kind of like a weird full circle moment, but the MySpace stuff, like it's so crazy how many people. And I'm assuming you're around my age. Like, I'm 30 years old.
Yeah, we're the same age, yeah.
Yeah. So, like, it's crazy how much, like, that MySpace era of music just resonates with people.
Oh, hell yeah. That was, I mean, one of my favorite times of internet. You know what I mean? Like, it was, what I liked about it was, I mean, the full spectrum of you go to somebody's profile, and if they make music, you get the music there, but then you also get their little logs of, what they want to write, the bulletins, I think they were called, or something like that. And you get the top 8, so you see like who this person's affiliated with, all that stuff. But like it's crazy, like just seeing the adjustment of social media platforms, like having to jump to Instagram and all that. And I feel like if you really knew that MySpace era really well, if you had like knowledge of how to have a good MySpace or a good page, like like I see people our age able to adjust to Instagram and to TikTok and all these new things now because of like their knowledge from back then. And like I mean, from making MySpace layouts and stuff and my own cover art and my own, I was the IMG SRC guy on there.
Oh yeah, so you knew how to do the HTML codes and everything.
Heavy on the HTML. So like I think that all like translated later on in life, like it started making sense. Like being able to make my own TikTok content and real content, like behind Premiere and actually chopping all of it and doing all that. It's like I think the people that were in that era. Same with Tim Chantarangsu. Like he is the same way. He was in that like MySpace era, like pretty much coding his own pages and doing his stuff. And now it's like you see him doing the full blown like YouTube podcast, all that stuff, but self-sufficiently doing it all himself. So I definitely I give so much credit to the MySpace era for shaping my current work ethic for sure.
And it's super cool to see, like, just everybody from that era. I mean, you could even chalk it up to this, like, everybody from that era, like, either working with each other now or have just still been working with each other, like, throughout the years, bro. Like, you and Tim have had, like, I mean, as far as I can tell from, like, my perspective looking on YouTube and whatnot, you guys have had a really good relationship over the years. Yeah,
I mean, it's funny because he was always, like, a great big brother to me.
Yeah. A
lot of, like, my big brother figures in life were very, like... I have a very interesting life, so it's very, very.
The tattoos tell me you have an interesting life, bro.
Thanks, but yeah, like I couldn't even write a movie about it. It would have to be a 10-season Netflix series. But I had a lot of big brothers in my life who it'd be too aggressive to say disappointed me. But Tim, like, didn't. Tim was always very, like, he understood me on so many levels, like, even when I was just, at the times where I was incredibly full of myself as a kid. But, like, of course, just, like, not, like, as confident as I was putting myself out to be outwardly, he would understand, like, this is a very insecure teenage kid. But I'm still fuck with him. I'm still, you know what I'm saying? Like, talk to him. I'm still try to, and it's so funny because as the years were going by and, like, the Asian rap wave died out and, people were a lot of people in that wave were putting music down.
Yeah.
And go like, and understandably so, like everybody has a different journey. You know what I mean? Like I totally skipped out of that whole like, oh, you know, just standing the test of time to things. It's like people are meant for what they're meant for. If you're meant to have a family, you're so meant to have a family, you know? But I think Tim and I really stood that test of time of like, yo, we want to do entertainment. Tim has a family now, but still pushes entertainment like to the forefront of what he does, and has his kids as his motivation. You know, but we always talk all the time about like how we just stood the test of time, and it's so real. Like every era of, you know, even in this new R&B era, I mean, I haven't touched No Chaser yet to go talk to him, but just like, you know, checking in with him every now and then. It's like, it's cool how he's been there for almost like every stage of my life and been somebody that I could reach out to for anything. Like he's that friend where you like, you can reach out to him anytime in life and be like, yo, what up?
And
like,
it's good to have those types of people too, because like you said, you know, when you guys first met and you had this like insecurity as a kid and, you know, he could see past that, you're just also like, okay, now this person has seen I've evolved, and it's just more of like, okay, this is family at this point too. Yeah,
it's certain people you can't front around.
Yeah.
Because you know, like, you know, they know you. So you're like, all right, cool. Like I gotta, you know, I can't like keep the small talk face on with the bro. You know what I mean?
Yeah, bro.
But yeah, shout out to him, because I mean, I'm forever like, I'm forever like a fan of him for one, but also two, it's like that's just somebody that I don't have to talk to for like years. But when when I see him in person, it's like, oh, cool. Like, what up? Like, pick up where you left off type shit.
You know, it's funny. One of my homies actually just told me that my best friend, actually, I had like a very deep talk with him like just last week, and he was re-explaining to me that his cousin had told him that it sucks, but it might also be a good thing too, that the people you're closest to, your best friends, the people who really know you, you really only catch up with them maybe like once or twice a year.
Yeah, for real. And that's, you know, that's real friendship. Like you're gonna understand. You're always gonna understand. And it's funny too, because like these friendships in entertainment are very different. You know, like 100%. You have like a cold year and nobody's hitting you up. You know what I'm saying? Like you have a cold month. Maybe like, you know, the numbers are not at, you know, y'all know this entertainment shit when it's up and down. And like people don't talk to you in certain pockets, but it's certain people like you could be doing. I've been at my lowest in my life and I've hung out with Tim. You know, like it's so many other friends too that I've had in entertainment that thankfully like I can still hit up at my lowest. I can even hit them up when I'm in LA. Like, can I stay on your couch, bro? You know, stuff like that. So I keep those people really, really close to me, like up here, you know, even if I don't see them, I always have, you know, I have my love for them. They have their love for me, and we're always going to look out for each other. But yeah, like, you know, it could be somebody you see every day. It doesn't, like, just because you see them every day doesn't mean they're, you know, super tied in. But yeah, shout out to Tim. Love that guy.
Timothy Delgado, man. Does he still go by that?
Nah, it's Tim Chong Tharangsu.
There we go.
We're both on our real name wave.
Real name wave.
Yeah, on the Govey wave.
So I'm sure you've talked about this before, but you know, I've never like personally asked you this or like, you know, heard it on a podcast from, you know, from my own seeking of knowledge. But like, what was the decision like when you went from D-Pryde to now Russell with the exclamation point in all caps?
Yeah, I mean, you know, you grow out of certain things. I think D-Pryde was I mean, name-wise, it's like, you don't want to be 30 and D-Pryde.
With the Y, too.
Yeah,
with
it's just like, you know? And on top of that, I think, like, it had its life. That was a great era of me being young and figuring it out with music. And thankfully, I had somewhat of an impact on so many artists' lives like that. But it was just something, too, to, like, understand that was that time. And my music, what I wanted to make was evolving. And I grew so much as a person. So I was like, look, one, this name is so rapper. This name is, it's like Jay Spitz, you know, like it's one of those. It was like, and I understandably that was the era of you get a letter and then you put a thing behind it. That was that era, you know. It was very dated to that time. And I had to understand that myself. You have those like moments, especially like can I pick this dog?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially like as a stoner, you have these like self-reflective moments, and you're like, do I like at least for me, around the time I was smoking a lot of weed for the first time, I had a lot of self-reflective moments.
How did you even get that in, bro? Like, I thought Canada was super strict on that.
Oh no, we've been legal for mad long. We decriminalized for a bit, and that now it's, funny enough, it's so weird buying weed here. Just other tangent, but it's so weird buying weed here because like you actually have to buy it in cash here. We have card, like we just pay by debit or like credit.
Well,
to
some
buy weed
places,
here.
some dispensaries like only take cash. There are like some.
That's
those
so
are
weird to me.
Those are the ones that like probably get rated, but like
yeah. See, that's the thing. That's the same thing with us, except now like in Toronto, it's like it's like a Starbucks on every corner, damn near. Like it's literally like if you go out here, I could see like a Starbucks on every corner here in Manhattan. So like it's the same thing with Toronto. You could go there and there's a dispensary on every single corner. It's crazy.
There's one right around the corner.
Oh yeah, I think I've been there too. I know exactly what you're talking about. But yeah, I mean, to the point of I was smoking a lot of weed, and it was a lot of self-reflection time. I think too, like when I was young, I was like an internet child star, so like I still got the same treatment of not being able to fully live my childhood the way I needed to. So by the time I had like downtime and everything kind of fell off and things were a bit slow, I had more time to myself. And when you do have more time alone and you're smoking a lot of weed, you get very self-reflective. And in those self-reflective times, I'm like, do I still want to be this? What's the legacy I'm leaving behind? Am I going to keep being this thing that I'm trying to pump life into that isn't all the way creatively fulfilling me? Or am I going to really take a risk, switch the program, do something for me and my legacy and what I want to push creatively at this present moment? Is like, do I really want to make that leap? And I was like, fuck yeah, I do, because like, what's life without risk sometimes, especially with a risk like that, where it's like, you're really following your heart. Like a lot of people will say they're following their heart. They're not. Like you're not taking the risks. You're just doing, which is cool. But like, this is doing with knowing like this could fail and I could look stupid as hell and I could be the guy, there is that fear of like, oh, you're D-Pryde forever. But I didn't have that because I knew I love what I do. I'm going to end up where I want to be if I just really push this line and, I guess go at it with the utmost confidence and conviction when I speak about it too.
Yeah.
Well, you know what I will say is that like, myself and also Jackie and also yourself too, we've all had ventures that have failed, but we've also had ventures that have succeeded. And I think what happens is that when you have a venture that succeeds and fails, you understand what it takes to make the next venture that much more successful. You know not to fall into certain pitfalls. You know what things you need to do in order to maximize your time and get to that level of success a lot quicker.
Yeah.
So at any point, because you knew, like, D-Pryde was a thing, especially for a lot of Filipinos and Asian people. Like, did you ever think at that point, because it was so successful, that grabbing the essence of D-Pryde could also push forward just Russell at that point? Because you knew it worked before.
You know what it was? I think like it's a lot of nostalgia in that.
Yeah.
And I feel like nostalgia really clouds and blinds a lot of like what's really the truth about some things. And like, it's funny because when I was in the era of like things kind of going down, there were still opportunities of like doing certain shows where I knew the branding of it really wasn't doing well for me as an artist, and I was still playing on the gimmick that D-Pryde kind of had. And there was a lot of money in that gimmick. Like when you look at the money that it could, it's like, oh, I could get, that's a couple mortgage payments and that's like a nice car, if I just do what I don't want to do, and I kind of surrendered to, okay, this worked before and it has this audience, but like, what I don't like is looking at that audience as purely a dollar sign. And on top of that, I wanted to make an audience not solely embedded with that era. I wanted people to love me for life.
Yeah.
You know what I
Wow.
mean? It's like, I don't want you to love 17 to 19-year-old me and just stay there, you
Because
know?
you've also evolved from that too.
Exactly. And there's so much more to love than that because of that,
Yeah.
right? Like, and because of this evolution, it's just so much more you can learn from that rather than just having to look at this, you know, window of my life. You could look at the entire spectrum of it and be like, oh, that was one part of this, but he's still going.
Yeah.
And I think that is the element of D-Pryde that still pushes through Russell that a lot of people admire. I'm still going, and nobody will, and nothing will ever have me stop unless I like actually just die and I'm not here. But if I still have a voice, if I still have creative juices flowing, I'm gonna make stuff. That's just what it is.
Yeah.
And I think like, of course, you know, you're going to get those moments. And I of course, like speaking for myself, I'm going to have those moments where certain things bother me or when people are a little too tied to the nostalgia. But I also have grown and matured enough to understand like people like that era and people like that side of me. And you can't control that. You can't control what people think. But what you can't control is how you think. And I think like that was a great fucking time. But it all shaped me. I put in my 10,000 hours as an entertainer in that light. And now I'm ready to just go into this new chapter as somebody so well seasoned. Somebody that's able to understand the business and move forward with it with a new reinvented lane. And to also be like a vessel and a voice for a lot of artists that are in my position, like thinking, shit, like I'm 30. I don't know if I could still make this pop. I don't know if I can reinvent myself. There are a lot of rappers that, you know, rapped in the blog days that are probably producing beats now or you know, just certain things.
I tap her because I literally just started producing music last July.
Oh shit. See?
Yeah.
And that's what it is. It's like those guys, people like us, need more voices like that because it's the stigma that you have from 15 until 21 to make it. And then right after that, you're like, oh, this guy's kind of old. And it's not really, because if you really think about it, it's like Jay-Z had popped later on in his life, and Eminem and certain people. It's like it's a different journey for everybody.
Yeah, and honestly, like even like more recently too, like you say that like people have this like notion, even not just for like entertainment, but of like life in general. It's like by 25 I should be married, I should have kids, I should be doing this, I should have a home and this and that. And realistically, that's not what it is anymore. And even like more recently, like Jelly Roll, like he just won his first award at 30 years old. And his acceptance speech literally had like, there's something just so great about a 30-year-old man winning New Artist of the Year.
Yeah, that says so much. It's like it's all written for you if you're gonna jump towards it. You know what I mean? You just can't give up. You really can't give up. As cliche as that sounds, it's so true. Like you just can't. If that's like, if the music is always gonna call you, that's just what it is, and you have to listen to it. There were times I didn't want to do this at all. I have texts like literally. It's so funny because the other week I just had like a very grateful moment in my life, and I was just happy about certain things going on, and I looked back at text where I was like texting one of my homies because I was so frustrated with the industry like a year and a half or 2 years ago, and I was like, I just want to be behind the scenes now. Like, I just want to edit videos now. I was like, because I edit all my own videos, and I direct. So I was like, why don't I just do that? This is too exhausting.
And it's going to be way less, like, less of the bullshit, to be honest.
And pressure. But it's so weird because, like, that same bullshit is like, am I going to let that override this feeling that music gives me? Like, I can work through the business. Like, cool, I'll get the business right. But this love for what I do, I can't get rid of that. I can't. It's weird. Like, I'm just, maybe other people feel it, but it's a metronome in my head all the time. It's like, once I hear an 808 somewhere, or if I hear like a snare pattern, I'm bobbing my head. There's no way. It's just when it's in you and it's on you. Like, you can't get rid of it when you love it like that. And that's something I could never deny, whether D-Pryde or Russell. Like, I needed that like love for the music. And I think to like, just to the conversation at hand, it's like, with Russell, I feel that love all the time now.
I love that.
Look, I could have, I live in a 1-bedroom apartment back in Toronto, and I fucking love it. Like it's, I don't want to be anywhere else right now. I think for a lot of my life, I was like, I could, of course I'm shooting for the sky, but I don't think I was as grateful as I am now for the present.
Yeah.
Like the present moment, I'm like, oh, I fuck with this. And of course things are going to get better, but like, let me just be happy for what's going on right now because I'm creating, and I'm not in that position where like I'm creating just solely for the check and just solely for the hits and just solely for this, just solely for that. I'm like, oh, I'm making what I like, and thankfully people like it. Like, oh shit. Thankfully I'm kind of dope. So it's like, all right, cool. Like, so it's just that, like, finding your groove. And that's, like, I feel like that's like a fucking struggle for a lot of artists. Like,
yeah, bro.
Finding your groove where you sound like other artists and you're like trying to mimic all your idols. Like, I'm at that point where we're 30. Like, we've consumed so much music at this point. Like, it's just part of us now. So you just got to let it flow, and then it becomes original from there.
That's why I think there's such a beautiful thing going back to the conversation about, like, being in your 30s and like either starting or continue to pursue like what you love to do. Because, one thing that I just hate to see is like when you see like young teen celebrities now in their 30s or their 40s just like go to shit, bro. Like,
trust me.
You know what I mean? Like, even like Matthew Perry, like, he just passed away a couple months ago, and it's so sad to see. So I feel like, me speaking from someone who is continuing to do it like in their 30s and hasn't like quote unquote made it yet, whatever that idea is, right? Like, there's so much beauty in it because you've seen so much over your lifetime being in the music industry, and you'll know better how to maneuver. You have more control over your emotions. You have an understanding if someone is trying to fuck you over or if someone is actually going to help you out.
Yeah. And what's crazy is like I went through that, like I had the whole Childstar, like post Childstar fuck up era. Yeah, like I was heavily smoking cigarettes and getting fucked up and getting tatted when I shouldn't have, and really like it really explains itself. But one thing that I love about it is like that needed to happen because thank God I didn't come out on the other side drugged out. Thank God I when I had an alcohol problem, I was able to like really spot it when it happened and do something about it and take a course of action where I was able to have a better relationship with alcohol as I grew up, where now it's like I could have a drink and I could hold my liquor. Shout out to my Trini family as well, because they've taught me how to hold liquor like my whole life. So I never like, I think the only time I ever like really like threw up or looked like a fool in public was like the first time I got drunk. But that was it. Like after that, I've always been able to hold my liquor. I had an era though in that post, when things kind of fell off, where I was just getting drunk a lot, and I was definitely, as much as I knew how to hold my liquor, that was like the worst part about it. I would drink a lot. But in that, I, especially like hindsight, right? Like we presently think about it, it's like I would never give any of that up, because I look at it now and I'm like on this side where I have a new journey and I'm networking within this new journey now. It's like the second go, but I know where it's like when you live somewhere before, but then you move away for a bit and then you move back, and then you're like, oh, I know how to turn this corner and go to this store and how to, that's just the industry for me now. Like, oh, okay, cool. I'm just here now, but I know way more. And and like my blade is sharpened, so I can kind of like tread through this, one, carefully, but two, like strategically. Yeah. So much better. But yeah, man, I mean, thank God I came out on the other side alive, and I'm very, very fucking thankful for it. And I think, look, we all want to get to a fuck you money level, we all want to like leave a legacy, within our field. But I also do feel like there's no like, I'm successful, like all around, you could be successful in different fields. Like you could be successful. I meet dudes that like literally like paint, they'll paint for a living and they'll make just enough to like get their spot, like their little art studio, and they're like 1-bedroom apartment, and they have like a dog or a cat or something, and they're happy every day. They go get their car. There's a couple people in Toronto I know that live like that. They love their bagel in the morning. They love their coffee. They hang out. They smoke cigarettes all day and hang out with their friends and like paint and create. And if it's not that, it's like producing. Like I know a lot of producers that live a life like that, but they're so like happy because they kind of just get to create every day. And they're like, I mean, I'll hit the lotto with what I'm doing one day. Like one of my paintings will hit one day. One of my beats will place one day. But
I feel like that's very much how like you are. And it's just like, it's just easier to just live life that way.
Yeah.
Instead of putting all this pressure on yourself of just like, okay, I gotta get up and I gotta do something and gotta like create this thing that I don't believe in and that I don't want to do.
Yeah, I think a lot of people overwhelm themselves with, of course, in the social media day and age when a lot of people need something to speak to them, I think like the aggressive motivational content always gets them into this thing where they need to like, I gotta wake up in the morning and it's 7 a.m. I gotta get to the fucking money. And it's like
the Gary Vee shit, bro.
Yeah, like, and you know what? It's crazy because I think Gary Vee does preach like a very well, like not overwhelming, but it's kind of how they take it. A lot of people, like a lot of people in a sense, for lack of a better expression, are like lost and they don't know what to listen to. So when you're kind of stabbing them with this like, oh, like make it in life. You have to, every second of your life needs to, I feel like
quit your 9 to 5 right now.
Yeah, I feel like that's so overwhelming as a person.
Yeah.
And like when it comes to being a person, and I think like if we're able to just take a little bit of that, motivate yourself. Yeah, but also give yourself the time to be human and understand like these are experiences that you're going to have to learn, and people got to get hurt sometimes. Feelings got to be hurt, especially your own.
Yeah.
But it all makes for a good journey, which I like about it. It's all a sick story. Like I got the sickest story. So
and that's why you got like 10 seasons on Netflix.
Yeah,
and
for
not
real.
a movie.
Yeah, that's why the biopic isn't enough. And, it's like it needs to be multiple biopics.
Yeah.
But I love it because it's so much better than to me. It's just so much better than. Yeah, they found me off this one video and now I'm famous.
Yeah.
I think if there's just a story there, it's believable to people in so many fields, and people can find their own relatability to it. Like, oh, okay, like I relate to that too. But like what I love about being Russell too is like, and this is just catered to my observations and what I've seen. Like when I would tour as D-Pryde, like I would have like a lot of meet and greets that had other rappers there. So it was like I kind of only spoke for rappers. Whereas like I was a rapper's rapper. But now as a singer, it's like I have people coming up to my shows that like just like, oh, I drive a bus, like, for a living, or I work at Subway, you know what I mean? Oh, I work in accounting. Like, oh, these are topics and these are songs that you could just relate to and love because they're really, what I love now about my pen game is like, it's very relatable because I'm writing like about these almost like they're really catered to my life, but love is a very general, like we all across the board love.
Yeah.
So, and we feel it in so many ways. So it's, it's good to, and that's one thing that I really do stand for as an artist. Like I love pushing love. Like it's fun. I love falling in love. Yeah. So I think, like
you seem like a type of guy who loves very hard.
Yeah, I do. And it's funny, like in my current lifestyle, I think I do, but I've learned to be less like, persistently, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'll buy flowers for somebody, but only if they want them. You know what I mean?
Bro, Jackie wants flowers every freaking week, bro. Let me tell you that.
But if it's like, do you want them? That's the thing.
No, she wants them. She wants them.
So when you receive them, it's like, okay, cool. But if you're like kind of like, like it's like there's certain women where it's like you got to take your time to get to that level.
Understandable.
You know what I'm saying?
There's like been instances where like, and I always talk about this like this one particular like instance with Nico, which is hilarious because like he knows like, oh, I love like just random flowers and this and that. One day he comes up to me, or we're in the car and we're passing some street vendors, and he goes, oh, you know what? The other day I was gonna buy you flowers, and I was just like, okay. And then he goes, but I didn't have cash on me, so I didn't get them for you. And I'm like, then why would you tell me that? And he's just like, well, it's a thought that counts. I'm like, not in this situation. Not in this one.
Jeez.
It was, bro, I didn't have no cash.
Hey, but you would have.
Yeah, I would have. That's what I'm saying. I would have. So I was letting her know, like, hey, I was thinking of you despite the fact that I didn't have any cash.
Real love.
That's real love. That's all I'm saying.
That's real love.
I'm saying.
Hey, let me ask you this. Let me get this off because I knew I want to get this off because it's February 1st.
Yeah.
Right? Let's say you have a girl and you've been dating for like 3 years, right? Do you still ask her to be your Valentine?
Oh, hell yeah. You gotta have that. You need that playfulness. You need that playfulness. I think. One thing I really do like push just as a person when it comes to things like that is like I'll speak for myself, but I feel a lot of people relate where it's like I want to find somebody that eternally makes me feel like a child.
Aww,
you know what I mean? Like,
so like they bring out like your inner child.
Yeah, because that's the thing about growing up and being an adult is like you don't get those moments like that sometimes, and that could really cloud your perception of love and the partner that you do have. And like I was talking to somebody like literally right before I flew here. I was with a friend and we were just talking and I was like, I really want to have that like boyish energy every time I see somebody I love. Yeah, because it's something about that makes me write songs. It's just for me and being a creative. It's like that fuels a lot of my creativity. Like those cool feelings of like, oh, like this feels like a boyhood crush. And and the happiest couples I met have that like kind of playful flirtatiousness where it's like it never dies out. Like you'll have your times where maybe you're too busy for each other and life gets overwhelming, but like that never gets lost where it's like, you know, we can still clown around and be, you know what I mean? So yeah, that's real love to me.
Yeah, so. I think J. Cole said it best, and this was on a clip that I saw on the internet, but he said something along the lines of like, you know, you're with a person for like year one, everything is still all butterflies and whatnot. Year two, it might start to become a little mundane. Year three, you might start to fall off a little bit more. But the idea is that if you really do love this person, you have to find new ways to love them as the years go by, because not only is your relationship growing, but you are growing and your partner is growing out of the person that they were from when you first met them.
Yeah, it's re-falling in love. You know, you got to always re-fall in love with the things that you really love. That's actually how I look at like somebody I'm dating, but also like music at the same time. Like they both are that thing. Like when it comes to music, I always find, especially like a lot of people don't really know I'm a hip hop head, but like I'm not like an aggressive like everything needs to be boom bap and big words hip hop head. You know what I mean?
You don't got the old head mentality.
Yeah, and I think I don't have that because I genuinely love hip hop as like an all around lifestyle, and like I would love like a wife. And there's going to be things that, you know, you're unfamiliar with hip hop, but you got to adjust to these times and re-fall in love with what you think like you stick to and relate to within it. But I think that's why I'm able to like love music in general the way I do. I'm not like a complainer, and I'm not gonna look at what's currently going on and be like, fuck this shit, like back in my day, like no, like I'm just gonna find what I like about it, and I'm gonna keep on falling in love with it because I knew that feeling that it gave me the first time that I really fell in love with it. So that's kind of how I treat love too. Like it's gonna be some times where I'll hate somebody I'm dating, you know, like these little errors or
you're the person you're dating just a little bit.
Yeah, like but that's love. It's not real love if you don't hate them a little bit sometimes. Like,
amen to that.
They gotta get under your skin, but that's where also like fear comes from. Like the realest dudes I know are scared of their girlfriend. Oh yeah, like the most like, oh yeah, you're a real fucking like man. You know what I mean?
Have you ever dated a Latina?
No, but
don't do it. Don't do it. Just don't do it. Just don't fucking do it, bro. Let me. If you want to get close to like your deathbed every night, that is what you do.
Sleep when you're dating. Open.
Yes.
Literally the other day we were watching this like clip on Instagram, and it was like, I'm dating a Latina, of course, like whatever. And then he was just like, he goes, I'm dating a Latina, of course she's just gonna get mad every time I say something. I was just like, Well, you brought this upon yourself. Like,
Oh man, what a mix though. This is a good, because he's Filipino, so you're probably full of jokes. So it probably just doesn't fly sometimes.
Literally.
He knows me.
all the time. Like, I'll be saying something so serious, and he makes a joke. I'll be like, can you just be serious for like a second?
That's the Filipino spouse.
Yes.
That's just what it is. That's what we do.
And you know what? I've come to realize as I grew up, I really just get it from my dad. And like, bro, as I've grown up, I'm just like, there's no fucking way I'm becoming my dad. And I see it like in my 30s now.
Yo, I mean, that's honestly though, like that's kind of how I see myself being a dad. Like I want to be a corny dad. Like that's the goal for me. I want to be like low key the corniest dad ever. I think like that's like pure happiness when you could get to that peace in your life where like, oh, I'm not impressing anybody now. I got my wife.
Like, I got my kids.
Yeah, like what am I? No,
I'm fucking good, bro.
Yeah, I'm about to wear Crocs and sweatpants all day and like a Lululemon jumper top and show up to soccer practice with the thermos full of coffee, and just chill. But like that to me is like pure Filipino dad happiness. So shout out to all the Filipino dads and on dad mode right now.
Yeah, especially like when you're like their kids are just so like embarrassed of them enough. We're like, oh god.
Oh yeah.
That's honestly, it's funny. Like even my pops, I got a Trinity step pops, and it's like it's so funny because it just goes hand in hand like with a lot of like the Filipino dads I meet. Like the amount of very like well executed dad jokes is like it's insane, but like it's funny because like I kind of would rather like I wouldn't want anything else. Like I think that's like one thing. Yeah, that's definitely a goal. Like I want to be like that where like I kind of still have that run around even if I'm pissing my wife off. Like
it'll piss her off even more.
Yeah.
You know who does it so well, bro? Is Ray Tarka.
Haven't heard.
Really? He's a Filipino cat. I want to say he might be from Canada, but like, bro, you search up Ray Tarka on IG, he does like Filipino dad skits all the time, and he's younger than us.
Really?
Yes. Babe, you know who I'm talking about, right?
Yeah, I know who you're talking about. And he's actually really hilarious. But it's funny seeing it rather than it happening to me.
Yeah, no, I get what you mean.
No, but I think like, having that playfulness, like you said, even with your personal life and with like music and everything, it just makes everything so much more enjoyable.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. I mean, I make music for lovers. I want to keep doing that. Mm-hmm. So I try to keep like an element in my life of that. I think I like already passed the fuckboy phase. Like,
he had a song called "Daddy's Coming Home."
Oh God, I was like 13 too. I didn't know what the fuck I was talking about. I didn't know what the fuck I was talking about. Oh man.
So since you've already passed your fuckboy phase, like super good question. Like, do you think that a hoe phase is necessary?
Yeah. Oh, fuck yeah. Yeah.
Wow, what a question.
For both sides, too. Like, I don't slut shame at all. I think, like, you need to have that era of your life and look, again, different journeys, right? Like, sometimes we meet the people that we meet in high school and shit. Yeah. I get it, and I'm jealous.
And you're like, great for you.
Yeah,
anyway.
Great for you, dude. But at least I can speak for my journey and a couple of, like, my friends where it's like, and my hoe phase was not aggressive. Like, it was like every week, Nah, I was just a little more free and careless, and I didn't really care who it was with in this sense. It's just like, oh, if you're bad, like, that's what the outcome is.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah, I think you need it because it kind of shapes you, one, as, like, just you need your assholeness sometimes. Like you need to do that in order to learn that you are a fucking asshole. You know what I mean? Because I feel like if you're not gonna have those, you're not gonna take that accountability. You're always just gonna think that like you're right as a man, and you need to be wrong sometimes.
Yeah.
And I think I had a lot of my you're wrong. Like say sorry in moments, right?
You're like that was kind of fucked up.
Yeah. And thankfully, I was the women I was like a piece of shit to. I was able to kind of revisit later on in life and be like, hey, I'm fucking sorry for that, dude. Like it's but that I needed that. I needed to realize that I hurt certain people. I needed to realize that what I was doing was a little like, okay, this is kind of corny.
Yeah.
But I think I got it all out of my system. Like I think if I'm meeting somebody now, I'm like, like there's no like bad like the thing in the back of my mind. Like when I go out, like I see. That's one thing I love about myself is like I could go out anywhere and I could see beautiful women and I could just really like, and like, okay,
Appreciate.
yeah, like I appreciate that, but it's not like I'm gonna go aggressively run over there.
Yeah.
I need tonight. I need a number. Like, no, it's not. Like, it is what it is.
It is.
I could chill with the homies tonight. Like, it's cool.
Yeah.
And you know, if a shorty's wearing a dress, it's like, oh, she looks good. Let's get a pizza. You know what I mean? Like, it's like that's really like where my life has gone now, because it's like, you know, if somebody's if I'm destined to meet somebody, it's, you guys know it. It's like, you go out, like, especially just in this day and age, like, you're bound to just run into somebody you fuck with and really vibe with. You'll get their Instagram and it's cool from there.
Yeah.
It's not like this, you know, I think young men have this thing where it's like a game. You got to get in. All right, I got to get 5 numbers by the end of the night and blah, blah, blah. You never have a good night when you're like that.
Oh, no, bro.
Never.
No.
Never. But the best nights come from, yo, shit, I've been working all fucking week. I'm just going to go with the homies, you know, have a drink or two, and then you just run into somebody. And then it's like, oh, my mind is solely focused right now on like hanging with the homies and having a good time. But like, shorty came by, it's unpredictable, cool, like it's spontaneous.
Let's see where this goes.
Yeah, so I live for those moments more so. And that's kind of where I'm at like now as a bachelor. Like, I just want to like move into very like natural moments with people and get to know people in those ways, because like, I think too, like, the thing about dating is like, first couple dates, you're like trying to be the best you possible, right? Like, you need to have the best fits. You need all this stuff. I don't want to do that. Like, I just want to show up.
Work.
It's so much work.
I want to be in shorts, bro.
Yeah, like I want to meet somebody in Crocs and like, you know what I mean? And be like, well, you see me in this. Like, you know, you must really like me if you're giving me this much attention looking like this. So I could talk about shit like this all day. It's
Oh, no, we love it.
I think like the first date that we had, Nico, like we were already on our first date, and then Nico just tells me, he's like, what would you do if I took you to boiling crab? I was like, I love boiling crab. And he's just like, I feel like I should have done that, because that's where you really get someone's like raw, like,
yo,
like,
you get to know somebody so quick.
200%. Yeah,
It's like, do you eat the shrimp with the skin or without? Let me just see.
All these things. How do you crack the snow crab leg? Like, let me see if you could actually crack this to where it's like smooth enough. You know what I mean? And you're not like the, you know what I mean? Like trying
like you really don't know what the hell you're doing all this.
Yo, I agree with that. That's actually, I'm gonna keep that. I'm gonna log that.
Come on, bro. Come on.
I'm gonna log that in the mind. Yeah, I think now it's funny. I talk with the homies like about this all the time. I'm like, if it happens, like it happens. If I'm gonna find somebody, like I'm with it. Like I'm not gonna give. Funny enough, this is great to segue into talking about my album. But
let's do it.
A lot of my album is kind of about. Funny enough, so in like the years of like, well, 2020, I actually signed like a deal when I fully made like the leap to rebrand as Russell. So I did that, and I went through my ups and downs in the industry and ended up leaving the deal. And I was kind of just like in this weird limbo in my life where it was like the sacrifice of being, at the time I was 29, and I was like, damn, like I've been chasing this music thing for like 10 years, but also like I'm getting older and I'm getting to this point where it's like, I am feeling like I want a partner. And there are those times where like, especially in the entertainment industry, like this shit gets lonely. Mm-hmm. So lonely. And you want to find somebody to relate to you. And if not relate to you, somebody you could talk to that isn't one of the homies and isn't like somebody in your family. Like, and I had these moments where I run into women that were all around the board, everything I wanted. Like, and it was funny because I was like, damn, it's now. Like not any other time of my life when I had like money and time to concentrate on this. But now at my lowest, I'm like finding the people that I really am like, oh, I would be with you for like life. Mm-hmm. Like I would put a ring on this now. Mm-hmm. But it's like I had my dream in figuring out how my album was going to get put out and where I was getting my next like check from to pay the rent. And it wasn't a life that you want to bring a grown woman into. Yeah. And I was like, let me not do that. But also at the same time, like, this is a really uncomfortable feeling. Like, let me explore this now. Because I think a lot of men have this like thing where it's like they want to be stable before they meet somebody and give them everything they can. And that's kind of how I am as a lover. So I was like, you know what? let me write about this. And, 11 songs came out of that. And I hear back at it and I'm like, wow, this is the story of like a dude that is passionate about one thing, but also is passionate about love and wanting to start a family and do all this stuff. But it's like that tug of war, like what's going to pull you in. And sadly, I'm just pulling into this music thing.
Yeah.
But it's funny because as a lover, it's like, I just want to have that. Now I want to have that unpredictable moment where I'm like, all right, cool. Like she's sick. Like I'm doing this, I could dive into this and I'm not going to have my notions of like my trust notions and stuff like that. Like where I have issues in that field. Like I think I'm healed. I just want to get to it. But also I'm trying to be Usher. Like I want to be the biggest thing in the world. Yeah. So it is, I think a lot of people can, from the songs already out and the interviews I've already done, people have already talked to me like, yo, like, I work this job and I just, I want to buy this house, but no, I have the same thing, bro. Like there's this girl I really like and I'm just like, man, I can't be the one for her, and I'm like, cool. Other people find this, like other people can relate to this. But yeah, man, it's just that desire to. Women are great. I love women, but I want to be the best guy for the woman I choose. I don't want to always be falling short. I don't always want to be like, all right, cool. I fucked up this time. Like you can't fall short all the time.
Yeah.
There are those times where you can, and Shorty will pick you up. Mm-hmm. But for the most part, at least I want to get to that point where I'm like, all right. Like it's not always unstable right now. Like I can hold it down.
Well, shoot, we're gonna continue this guy talk once Jackie dips out.
Hella guy talk.
This is like
hell yeah, hugs. Thank you.
Thank you. I will literally. We need to run it back once you're back.
Oh yeah, for sure. Oh sorry, I'm in the way. I'm in the way.
No, you're totally fine.
Jackie going to work right now.
Yeah, now I gotta go to work.
The
dog. So it's funny, bro, because like a lot of my thoughts in the conversations that, and Jackie's hearing my portion of this right now, and she has over the past couple of months, is that like, I think one of my things as a man, like trying to get to a stable place before we enter a life of like marriage and starting a family, like, because I've just seen so many instances, bro, like even Jackie moving in here, right, which only happened like last March. It hasn't even been an entire year. Like I've had family members who have dated people for years and years, and then next thing you know, just boom, relationship's gone. And so like I've had this fear of just like, wow, like do I really want to step into a space where I'm with someone, I invest so much time, and they're here from like the jump and whatnot, just to see it all possibly go away, like in a couple years?
That's the thing. It's like you gotta find the right one is the right one.
Yeah. And, I'll say all this to say Jackie is the right one.
Yeah. Like, at least from the people like the couples I admire and, like, am like, inspired by, it's always that sort of thing where, like we were talking about earlier, it's like those pockets of times, like, where I fucking hate this person, I still have that underlying love because they're down like that. They're down. But I think friendship is what got, like, for anybody I fall in love with, I want to be like a super cool friend too. Mm-hmm. So I think like you need that. I feel like in your relationship, like you guys were most likely like tied in like friends. You guys seem like you were like homies.
Yeah, we were friends first, and then I was like, what, she really is like a cute person. She's a beautiful person. So let me just try to pursue this and see what happens.
Yeah, that's the shit I'm kind of into, where like I really want to kick it with somebody that I just don't like that feeling of we're dudes. We're going to have those times where it's like, all right, let's be with our homies. But I don't always want to be running away from my girlfriend.
Yeah.
And I know so many guys like that.
Yeah.
And all the relationships ended horribly.
Yeah.
But there's certain dudes I meet where it's like, I'll show up with the guys and like the homie will bring his girlfriend, but she's cool as fuck. So it's fine. It's like I could be a dude around her. That's cool. And I want that girlfriend. Whereas
Yeah.
like I could just bring around the homies and shit, and then I could just be with the homies too. But like it's not. There's no difference to what's going on.
It's when you're dating someone and then you start to act like a different person when she's around your friends. That's the worst, bro.
I do not want that, especially like at my age now. Like I just don't have much patience for that. Like where I want to like. And two, like, I don't have like that. I don't want to keep molding my personality to, you know, I just want to be me. Like, I want to just show up. Maybe I'm just too lazy to do it, but I don't like putting up an act, like, for anybody. So it's like, I just want my girl to just almost add on to what this is, you know, this currently is.
Well, I feel like, you know, especially when you're younger, right? Like, you try to fit the mold of whatever you believe this person like wants you to be. And later down in life, you know, when you hit your 30s, it might even be like your mid 20s, right? Like at some point you're going to hit this point in life where you're just like, there's no reason for me to confine and be someone who I am not just to appease somebody else.
Oh, hell
Somebody, this one person or everybody just needs to accept me for who I am, whether you rock with me or not.
Yeah. I feel that way with relationships, with friendships, even just my relationship with the music industry and shit, and so many. It kind of relates to so many points in life. Like, So I mean,
even when it comes to like your music, bro, like, you know, I know I made the joke about like Daddy's Coming Home, right?
Yeah.
But like, you know, your music has evolved so much, and I feel like now that you've rebranded into Wrestle, like your music is just significantly better than like what it was before, right?
I fucking agree,
bro. Significantly better.
I agree
and I'm
so much,
bro. I remember, I think it was in like 2020 when, you know, I saw your name pop up and I was like, oh, you know, like that's so and so. Like I know exactly who this person is, and I was like, I wonder what kind of music he's gonna like, you know, put out there. And then when I listened, I was like, oh, this motherfucker could like really sing, bro.
Thank you. Yeah, and that's what it is. It's like, it's not one of those. Look, I had my experimental era with having to figure out how I was going to do it. So it was a lot of preparation and strategy behind what I'm putting out now. Because a lot of people at first just thought it was going to be like a phase. Like he'll switch back. It's okay. He'll switch back. And I was like, oh, you don't get it. Like,
yeah.
I really put the jacket on. Like, you know what I mean? I really put this on.
He got the red jacket on. He got the white gloves and everything. Yeah.
Full blown. And the only way I was going to do that was with the full conviction of like, and full confidence of being like, yo, I'm pushing that line. Like, I gotta wipe things. I have to start from scratch now, because if I'm always gonna remind you about that musically, it's not gonna fully translate. And I think when Scarlett's Weekend came out, it was like people actually could take me seriously.
Yeah.
And that was like that feeling I was itching for as an artist. Like, really take me seriously.
Yeah. Well, you almost forfeit the fans who were rocking with you like during the MySpace era, right? And then you open up the door for new people to come in and be like, yo, like, who is this guy? And, you know, I think it's also a blessing in disguise to realize that people who didn't know you as D-Pryde before, now they know you as Wrestle, and then they're just like, how is this guy like so seasoned for like the first song, the first EP that this guy dropped? How is he so seasoned?
Yeah, that's honest. That's been what it is. Like, it's cool because a lot of the people that discover my music now fall in love with the story. Yeah, they're like, oh, this guy was a rapper before. That's sick. And like, to add to that too, it's like a lot of the juxtaposition. I don't look like a traditional R&B singer. I know that too. But like, genuinely, like, I'm not, or a pop act. You know, I don't look like the most polished pop act.
But you sing like a god.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah,
I'll say it.
Like, I'm boxing with these guys. That's the thing. Like, I'm able to box with them. That's just what it is. Like, and people could say I'm delusional for saying that, but I'm living into the delusion. Like, I write just as good music.
Yeah.
And it's already, it's proved itself. I mean, like, people have streamed this, Scarlett's Weekend came out and it was a minute and something long, like almost like under 2 minutes, but people kept on playing it and they were like, it's something, I heard the feedback and people are like, it's just something believable about this.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's what it is now, because this is music like solely from my heart. And it's, look, for like all the old material, it's like the real heads can just go on YouTube and find it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
And
like
the best thing is that you don't even have to promote it like that.
Exactly. And that's what I do, because my past that's for like extensive research.
Yeah.
That's for like extensive research. If you really want to figure it out, you can go. But like, if you really fucking think about it, I'm about to have another 10 years of incredible music. Do you not want to hear that?
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think as much as people want to, listen to the old shit, you'll always get like I miss the old this or I miss the old that. People love nostalgia. It is what it is. That's what I've grown to really understand too. And I think what's really cool about me hopping into this new space and seeing the bits of success that I'm seeing is like, I'm able to get to that level that I want to be at, that Rihanna superstar level, but also not let things really bother me, because I've had 10 to 15 years of people saying shit to me online. Like, what bad is one hater comment gonna do? Like, and that's what I love about being Russell now, is like, I'm able to like kind of roll into this and be a well-seasoned artist, and people love the story. They see like, oh no, you're a pro at this because you had like your 10,000 hours put into being an entertainer. And that's respectable, because one thing about entertainment is the real last in this shit. And it speaks to what we were talking about with Tim and I, like how we really lasted through that. I'm sharpening my blade every day when it comes to music, not even within creating music, but just consuming music. I make sure that I'm like tied in with the culture somehow, whether it's R&B, hip hop, or pop. Just that's what I'm in love with, and I'm always up to date with what's going on. I'm always on TikTok. I'm always on because this is just what music is now, and you have to deal with that. Like, and I'm not at this point where I want to complain about it, because if anything, it's like a free-for-all to go out there and create and put stuff out and experiment and have fun with it.
And you know what? I honestly, because, I've worked in radio for years, bro, and I've seen so many people complain about, like, the music industry is saturated. I'm a DJ, so the DJs complain, like, the DJ industry is saturated. I work with a lot of producers. Oh, the producer industry is saturated. It's like, how many times are you going to complain about the industry being saturated? The amount of times you tweeted this industry is saturated is the amount of actual time you could have put into just becoming a better producer, a better artist, a better DJ. That's why, like, all these complaints, bro, like, all you literally have to do is just put the work in.
As a hip hop head, I think I'm just frustrated with the amount of complaints that gets, because when I really think about what hip hop really fucking is, this is one aspect. Digging in the crates. Digging in the crates is hip hop. We're going to the record store and we're trying to find samples that we can find the break beat out of to loop 8 bars off of and rap on. That's hip hop. If you translate that today, that's us going on Spotify, digging into the depths of YouTube to find samples, or just music in general. We're trying to find the kid with 2,000 views that made this incredible song and keep that specific to us. So when he blows up, I listened to that when he wasn't shit. I know music. I'm fucking eclectic.
So I'm the gatekeeper today.
For real. And I think that's hip hop. Going to dig in the crates and find new shit. Why are we going to complain when we're not digging in the crates? That's hip hop to me. That's like, we're going to go find some new shit. And I think that other than that being hip hop, I think that's being a real music fan. Like, you're going to go find new things. You're going to find what you're in love with within it if you want to stay in it. And every single year I'm finding music that I really like, that I'm inspired by, that music molds how I am as a person. Like, and of course there's something to agree with when it comes to the market being a little, I wouldn't fully say saturated, but a lot of people are in this. There's so many people, I think, like 60,000 however many songs uploaded a day.
There's a lot, bro. There's a lot.
But, and I know this sounds really general, and maybe a lot of people won't agree with this, but the real all rise up and get figured out. Yeah. They get found. Like, 60,000, but it's just like back in the day where one dude from a hometown so far away, probably in like Omaha, Nebraska, gets discovered by an A&R from his demo, and now he's signed to Interscope Records. Like, it's just that's this version. You know, everything adjusts. So yeah, man. I mean, more than ever, I actually fuck with like TikTok and like a lot of these like social media platforms that are able to put out like artists in a way where, okay, like maybe these are ads that are forced down my throat, but you'll get like the 1-2 video of something where like you're like, what's the song in the background? You're
exactly,
like,
bro.
Yo, hold on.
Exactly, bro. Exactly. It's like the new era of like, again, I work in radio, so it's like it's the new way to like discover music. Back then it was just radio, MTV, BET, and whatever else they got in Canada. You know what I mean? Or like whatever else you got in like your country, right?
Yeah,
so
and what I like too, and sorry to interrupt you.
Yeah, no, you're good.
What I really like too about artistry now is back in my day, being 15, 16 back in the day, like passing out my mixtapes and wanting people to come to my shows, like that really didn't translate to too many people because there weren't many rappers on the come up back then. Like now it's like your little cousin is a rapper and you don't even fully know until like you're on YouTube and you see this kid on like with a run and gun video with all his little homies in the back and like he's just bopping around. You're like, hold on, that's my cousin. You know, that's what music is nowadays. Like anybody, the accessibility is like, you know, is so much more accessibility than ever.
Well, I also think that people have this misconception that you need to have everybody in the fucking world behind your back, bro.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
I know this for a fact that all you need is 1,000 people to really rock with you, even if that, man.
Yeah.
Like there's so many people in this world and you expect everyone to just like you. That's really not feasible. There's billions of people in this fucking world, bro. And I'm fully convinced you can convince just 1,000 people to like your stuff because that's not a lot compared to the masses that are out here.
Yeah, few but many. You know what I mean? Like I'll even compare it to what I have going on within the fan base that I have. Sure. It's like I like nowadays, and you know, I could be speaking for now because when this album comes out, it's going to be something. But, you know, I could speak for my current stats where it's like, I'm not hitting 1 million on YouTube and hitting like 20 million on this and 7 million on that. Like, but I got like real people that come out to my shows, like that buy hard tickets and buy merch. Like my merch, a lot of people buy this from like buy stuff from me all over the world. And when it comes to like, I'll get X amount of sales in this state and X amount of sales in this country. And I'm like, okay, like, but I don't have this guy's fan base where he's getting millions of views and blah, blah, blah. But if you kind of like check his shows, he can't fill out a 500 cap venue. It's like, there's certain, I think the job nowadays for like a lot of independent musicians and people doing this is like really keeping your audience and really like, I think a lot of people look at things in their audience too much as a dollar sign to the point where like that's all they really like. I really look at impact. Like, how am I going to impact people? Yeah, this guy has 1 million views, but do people want to dress like him? You know what I'm saying? Like, is this kid showing up to the show in the jacket that this guy wore in this music video? Are
people invested in that person, or are they just invested in a single song that just blew up?
Exactly. And that's, you know, I guess that's everybody's like argument with TikTok singles and stuff like that. But again, this is entertainment. How are we going to last in this?
Yeah.
You got to be a character. It's like wrestling. It's like WWE. Like that's what I learned through, again, like these things you learn through other points you've been in your life. Like I was in the music industry as a rapper, but also within artist development. Like I got to see that firsthand. That's what a lot of people don't know about me is like when post Asian rap era, like I moved into the industry. Like I really dove fully into being within the music industry and not just staying on YouTube and doing all that stuff.
Yeah. And by diving into the industry fully, like what do you mean by that?
Well, I was signed to a label.
Okay.
And then I was able to, within being in the label, you know, you get to shake hands and put yourself within positions of meeting, you know, certain marketing people or certain, you know what I mean? Like kind of jumping into that. And a lot of people, like if you know the industry, it's like you only really need to know 2 people and then you're like in.
Yeah.
So that was really it. And a lot of people from that YouTube era, they're garnering their fan base and doing a lot of that stuff, but they weren't meshed into the industry. It was like, again, using Tim as an example, but Tim was out there doing movie auditions and you know what I mean? So it was like that gradual step, like that next step to really getting into mainstream and doing that. And I think like with me, like I was really able to see what was needed when it came to marketing and what was needed when it came to putting yourself out as an artist. Like this music that you're making needs to suit like a mood. It needs to suit like, where are they going to play this? Whatever you make. That's like interestingly enough, I create when I create, I don't care about fans. I don't care about I just make. But then when I put out something, that's when I really got to care about the marketing. That's when I really got to care if people care. And you know what I mean? It's like, how is this going to stick? Because the song is good. Yeah. But it's like, where's this going to live? Is this going to live in coffee shops? Is it going to live here? So it's a lot of things to think about, but I think the industry really taught me that. And that's something that I can like, of course, service to a lot of musicians that don't really know any better. You know, what's funny is that over the pandemic, I was DJing on Twitch, right? And for my entire life before 2020, I really rejected the fact that I was Filipino. Being from San Francisco, Daly City area, there was nothing but Filipinos, right? So I was like, damn, like I'm surrounded by this all the time. I don't really want to be that anymore, right? I moved down here in 2014. Lo and behold, I don't know where the hell any of the Filipinos are. Jackie's Mexican, so I'm around like a shit ton of Mexicans, bro. I'm just like, damn, I don't feel represented now. I fast forward all that to say in 2020, a lot of my viewership was Filipino because like they knew I was Filipino, and I'm like, oh, like, so it's okay to be Filipino? Like, it's cool to be Filipino? And that's a agenda that I was like really pushing with, are you familiar with Roslyn C? I've heard the name. Yeah, so we were pushing an agenda around that time, and even before that, like, how do we make being Filipino cool? Now, tying it back to what you were saying about marketing is that now I feel like we're in an era where everyone, even if they're a little bit of Filipino, like they represent it so hard, bro. And it's cool to see even this young 16-year-old kid. His name is Sean Breezy from out of Las Vegas, right? He told me that he just posted a video like, POV, you're a 16-year-old like Filipino singer trying to make it. And he reposted that video so many times up until that specific caption hit. And I say that to say, like, there's so much power in your culture. Oh, hell yeah. And like, when you bring a marketing aspect and you're proud to be like who you are, especially in front of your culture, like, man, they will eat it. Hell yeah. Bro. And to your point, it's like, I kind of in ways was like the same way. Like, I didn't really have too much of a Filipino upbringing growing up, actually, funny enough. I never knew my biological father like that, nor did my mom's family from the Philippines live in Canada when she immigrated over there. So, and I'm the middle child. So I think like a lot of like the traditional Filipino stuff is like for my other sibling. But for me, I was like kind of just, I was like a guinea pig baby. Like my mom just kind of like put me in different environments. Yeah. So it's like, loud Italian hairdressers, that she was around because my mom was a hairdresser. Okay. And like, but then I had a stepdad that was Trini. So when he came into the picture, it's like I'm fully embedded in like a Trinidadian family. Yeah. And it's funny because like a lot of people don't know that about me, but until they meet me and they're like, oh, your family values are very Caribbean. I'm like, oh, hell yeah. Like that's, so, but it was funny because growing up, like a lot of the Filipino kids I knew were actually like, their parents had a lot of money. So I wasn't really able to relate to them a lot. And I kind of got bullied a lot by like a lot of these kids that I met because like, yeah, their parents had it all. And we didn't really have it like that. And that was kind of like a weird thing for me as a kid to understand that. But, I think being a kid and, you think a certain way is like, I was always associating my culture to that, where it was like, oh, these kids are snobby. Like, is this what it's like to be a Filipino kid? Because like I'm chilling with my Caribbean family and you know, my Caribbean family, like, they don't really got it all, but everybody loves each other here. Like, they're like Trinity people, like, they like to chill, but like it's like liming, like, oh, let's lime, like
Liming.
So, like, yeah, lime. Like, anybody, you can look that up. It's like, yeah, liming. That's like hanging out. It's like chilling.
Got you. Okay.
You know what I'm saying? So,
yeah.
So that's like a lot of the culture I grew up in, like liming and hanging out, and like, yeah, a lot of my Trini family, like, they didn't really care about class like that. But a lot of these kids that I was put around, like, that were Filipino, like, they were like just super, you know, snobby and shitty. And that really clouded my perception until I grew up in, funny enough, my 20s. Like, even in being D-Pryde, it was like so foreign, not foreign to me, but like it was definitely like a different thing for me when Filipino kids started liking me. But I started meeting and seeing Filipino kids that started listening to my music, like, that lived like the similar upbringing that I did, where it was like, their families didn't have it like that. So I was like, oh, okay, cool. There are like more Filipino kids like me. Okay, cool. Like, there's that factor. And I think I started embracing my culture and being a Filipino creator just in general, like within my early 20s, because I was finally figuring out and meeting people and meshing with great people that were Filipino that necessarily weren't like fucking super snobby, you know, meeting sick, cool Filipino dudes. And I was like, cool. Like, all right, sick. They're not like, we're not all like this. This isn't like a cultural thing. That was just those kids I was around when I was young.
Yeah.
But I say all that to say, like, especially just being in this lane that I'm in now, being an R&B singer and being Filipino, it's like, I feel like it's just like the greatest mesh of...
Oh, bro, you must have killed it at like family parties when the karaoke's going, dog. Like,
and that's something I feel I represent for Filipino people. I think I'm that voice for that Filipino kid that wants to jump on the karaoke and have the confidence to sing. Like,
well, that's why, bro. Like, literally, like, even though it was surprising to hear your new shit, like Heartbreak, right? It also wasn't, because I'm just like, because we love ballads. Filipinos as a culture, we love ballads. And that's what you are making right now, dog.
Exactly. That's my whole lane.
Yeah.
Like, that's what it is. It's inspired off a lot of the things I even kind of like picked up, learned, like what I could pick up being Filipino when I was young through my mom. You know, that she was like my only reference at that point, right? Like, she would make the food. She was, you know what I mean? Like, you know, you have your titas too that aren't like blood to you, you know what I mean? You're like your family friend aunt.
Yeah.
So like those, you know, the occasional family friend aunt that I would see, like, they would have a karaoke machine, and those were like those pockets of time, like in my childhood development, where I would embrace being Filipino. And I think now in my current, you know, especially creating songs like Heartbreak or making songs like Scarlet's Weekend, where it's just like vocal, instrument, and the tempo's a little slower. It's like, it's really, I think it speaks to like my culture, and also like it's me kind of like, in a sense, like importing my my culture into my music, like, and really moving forward with it, especially when it comes to my voice being a little higher and singing in the octave that I do sing in. It's like, I think a lot of, at least from the Filipino people I know, like, they really love those powerful vocals, like a nice power ballad.
Well, like, the thing is about music, like, it's so insanely produced now that, like, I feel like sometimes people hide behind the production. Whereas for what you're making, bro, like, the production's amazing, first and foremost. Thanks, right? Man. But you can't hide behind the production when there's so much open space that you're singing on.
Exactly. Yeah. And I think that you know, and giving credit to my producer, like Kyle, you made my entire album and has like basically helped me mold my sound since Scarlet's Weekend. One thing I noticed when it comes to working with Kyle is like, he's really musically inclined. So we're able to actually find those pockets within songs where it's not too much going on. It's like, however many instruments like maybe sometimes within this verse section, all we need is the lead guitar with the snare and some kicks. Like, we don't need to dress this up, you know, until we get to the hook. Let's not dress it up. Let these words sit, you know, let these words kind of digest with people. Let this run kind of go on for this long. And that's just being around like very musically inclined people. Again, like Kyle's Filipino. So
he gets it. He gets it.
You know what I'm saying? So like, us being Filipino, it's like, I think he definitely put hours behind those keys, and I put hours behind the development of the vocals. So we both know where certain shit sits because of like what we were influenced by, all these ballads we were influenced by. It's like understanding what the song needs. But also like, you know, I think when I talk to a lot of people about like being somebody Filipino within the industry space or just within the space of making music and doing what we do, it's like, I think what my consensus of it is like, you know, seeing a lot of Filipino artists is like, we just need our identity, like our sonic identity, you know, like we need to find our musical identity to what sound is really us. And I really would want to lead towards ballads and stuff like that and real soft R&B. And, you know, even with like the pop records I make, like adding a lot of great melody towards them and vocal tricks that are digestible to maybe somebody that can't do all the runs and shit. You know what I mean? But yeah, man, I think like even more than ever, like the past couple months, like I've honestly just been reaching back out, and any opportunity I have to let people know that I'm Filipino and bring awareness to that, like I'm taking like 1,000%, because it's like, we need that. We need somebody that's unapologetically like, yo, I do this, but did you fucking know? Like, I'm Filipino, you know? Yeah. We need somebody on that forefront, like standing on that shit and really like putting that down, because like, I think I've met so many people behind the scenes doing like great Filipino like creators behind the scenes, whether they produce, it's like, even barbers. Like, I meet so many Filipino barbers. Oh, bro. I'm like, you're cold at this shit.
Let me tell you a very quick story. Super quick. In 2014, when I moved here, I didn't have a barber. So I just found this random dude. And I've told Jackie this a couple times already, but like, the dude was Mexican. Bro, he did not know how the fuck to cut my hair, and I was so mad, dog.
Oh, my God.
Next thing you know, I find a Filipino barber months later. I'm like, first cut, off the rip. He knew exactly what the fuck I wanted. I was like, thank you, bro. Thank you.
Man, we just adapt. Like, we adapt so well. And like, I just noticed, like, these guys need a voice. They need that guy to be out there to, you know, and look, I don't speak Tagalog. I'm not like the most Filipino guy. But what a lot of people gotta know is I'm opening the door for the guy that can do that. You know, there's probably a kid out there from the Philippines that sings way fucking better than I do. He needs somebody to kick that door down, though. So, like, why not be that guy and then give him the opportunity? Because, like, with me, look, I'm not going to go off on the name dropping spree.
Yeah, for sure.
But there are a lot of people on the Billboard charts right now that have gone up to me personally and said, yo, D-Pryde was a big part of my fucking life.
Let me tell you this, bro. And I made sure I told Jackie this yesterday, and I wanted to get this off because when I was a kid, right, especially during the MySpace and YouTube era, it was people like you, Shiny, AJ Raphael, Jeremy Passion, Melissa Polinar, Gabe Bondoc. Everyone I mentioned, with the exception of Shiny, like I've worked with in some capacity, right? And so what was cool growing up is that like me not feeling represented on the big screen, the TV, MTV, what have you, right? Going on platforms like MySpace and YouTube, now I'm getting emotional. It meant so much to me because I actually felt like I was represented and I felt like I was actually a part of something, right? And so now working with all you guys like years later, it's just shit that came full circle for me.
Yeah, so full circle.
And, you know, it's people like you, people like AJ, people like Jeremy, Gabe, the whole list who inspired me back then and still continue to inspire me today to do what the fuck I'm doing. And it makes me so happy to just be around with you guys and call you peers and just,
I appreciate it,
you know
man.
what I mean?
Yeah, dude, I mean, that's why I haven't given up.
Yeah.
That's why, like, there's so many people to inspire. Like, okay, cool. Like, I want to be Usher. Like, I want to be arena status. But, you know, to me, inspiring people is, like, just as fucking awesome. You know, I'll get there. I will. But I stand for something.
Yeah.
And I think I always have, whether it was D-Pryde or Russell, like I stood for some shit. And it's like I meet Filipino kids nowadays that get fucking tatted up and they're like, yo, I fucking did this. It's you, man. I fucking love you. And
bro.
And and that makes me so happy because we needed that. I didn't have that.
Yeah,
I didn't. The Filipino guys I looked up to like played basketball down the block. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, but I wanted somebody that made me feel like when I would watch 50 Cent on TV and he'd have the white beaters on and I didn't go to the gym. Like, you know what I mean? But I wanted to look like 50.
Yeah.
You know, so now being that guy for certain Filipino kids, I'm like, yo, like this is what we need, and we need somebody like that is not gonna fucking give up and is going to keep on fucking pushing that line. And I'll do it, like I said it earlier, like I'll really do this until I die, because it's like there is so much music to be made, and there's so many, like I said, there's so many kids that just want that one fucking like battery in their back, whether it's a song I make, whether it's a reel or a TikTok that they see. It's like certain kids will hit me up and I'm recording on a Shure SM7B and they're like, bro, I fucking have that mic and I started because you had it too. And I'm like, yo, that just goes to show you, it's like you just need to see another person doing what you do or that looks like you. And that's like the only thing that's really gonna put this battery in your back. But if I could be that, that's a fucking honor.
Hell
like
yeah.
I can go to my grave saying, you know, and like I said before, there are people on the charts that have personally told me like, yo, you were like part of my like embryonic stage as like a rapper or like as this or that, or, you know, I had some people tell me like, I saw you record in your room, and I was like, people can do that? And I bought equipment after that. That's nice. I was like, that just makes me know like I'm here for a purpose. Yeah. That's why Russell is a thing. There's purpose behind this. Cool. Like hits and making money off music is sick, but there's so much of a purpose behind what this is. So I feel like, and that's what like I kind of like see in your shit is like, there's so much of a purpose behind everything you do. Like from what I see, what you put out, you know, even with your DJ, like the DJ side of what you do, it's like, there's a purpose behind this. And I think with that, as long as you move with that, everything will make sense. I'm weirdly like spiritual when I need to be. Yeah. But I feel like everything's written. And like, if you love this shit, you're going to go for it. You're never going to give it up. And you're just going to keep on fucking finding new ways to fall in love with it and keep on fucking, you know, it's like just having to run into the wall, feeling like you're going to break into the other side, like the fucking Kool-Aid man, you know? But like, but we're going to keep on doing it because like, there's purpose behind this. We need to keep, you know. Oh, sorry, is a technical. Oh, no, you're good. But yeah, like, you know, when it comes to representation, when it comes to the importance of, I like, it's something that recently I've kind of like had logged into my head. I just felt like, especially doing R&B, like it's so much wider of an audience. I think like the titos and titas can like really admire like what I have going on. And also the young kids can look at me and be like, okay, this guy has a fucking face tattoo. Like he's kind of cool. Like, and that's pretty much what I've heard from a lot of like Filipino kids. Like, yeah, you sing the songs that like my mom can listen to, and like my dad and like my tito can like kind of play at the family functions. Like you could play Scarlet's Weekend or Heartbreak at like a family function. You could play like a lot of these songs at a Filipino family function, but both sides are gonna like it. You know what I'm saying? Like, and that's what I like about just being within the culture and figuring that out. It's like I'm able to be embraced now, and for being genuinely me. And I want to keep pushing that because it's going to be so many other Filipino kids that really find that relatability factor, and they're going to be sprouting within the industry, and we're going to have our own wave like the Latin wave is having.
Exactly,
you know
bro.
what I mean? Like that's, you know, the Afro beats and things like that. Like I want us to have that wave. Like,
well, that's why it'll be interesting to see what actual original Filipino music is, right? Because in the Philippines, OPM is like what it is. But like I've had this question like so many times to where people don't really know. Well, it looks like my camera's tapped out, so it's just going to be on you. That's crazy.
Wow.
But it's to the point to where like it's very hard to figure out what exactly original Filipino music is, because you'll have people like yourself, right? You'll have people like Manila Gray, or even like Guap Dad, or like MB Nell, or even Sweetie or Pilo, and it's like you can't really chalk it up to what original Filipino music is, because I like to say that we are a culture that also likes to shape shift in a way. We're kind of like we're a cultural chameleon.
Yeah, we were just talking about this actually yesterday. Like, I was over at Mix yesterday, and like, it was the same thing. Like, I was just talking to them about we are actually chameleons. Like, and it's funny too, because like I actually wanted to bring this up on a podcast with somebody from the Bay, but it's like that's why I think like a lot of Toronto culture is like draws a lot of parallels to people from the Bay. Like, I meet people from around where you're at, and like I'm like, why does this feel like I'm talking to somebody from where I live? Because of the amount of like the amount of like cultural meshing. Like, Black people and Filipino people from the Bay are like so clicked up. Like, it's like, oh, cool, this is like Toronto. Because I'll go to places in like Malvern or Scarborough in Toronto and spot a Filipino kid with this craziest straight back braids. Like, and it's like he's with a clique of like a bunch of Black dudes, and it's like completely normal. But it just goes to show like we're very. I'll see a Filipino kid do that, and then see like a Filipino kid in a group of like white skater kids, like really going in on the tricks, and like it's like he's just like another one of them, and it's like I think that's one of the coolest things about being Filipino. We could just adjust to whatever you give us. Like it's like, oh, okay, like yeah, we could do that. Like, and we're gonna be embedded in the crew. It's you're not gonna really fully. One thing I notice about being Filipino people and like meeting another Filipino person, like in the wild.
Yeah. In the wild, bro.
I won't realize until after sometimes, bro. Like, I'll meet certain dudes and I'm like, oh, this guy must be mixed. And then like later on, it's like, yo, where's your family from? Like, what's your background? Like, I'm like, oh, I'm Filipino. And I'll meet a kid that's like, bro, I'm Filipino too. Like, what? Like,
and then it becomes a super cool thing.
Yeah, and you start getting it. It's like, oh, fuck, that makes sense why you play keys really well. Or like, that makes sense why you got fucking hella rhythm. Like, it's like, I totally saw that just within what you're influenced by. So like, yeah, I think I speak for that kid too. Like, I hang around a lot. I am embedded in a lot of cliques, which is what I love about just my personality and my current life, where I'm able to kind of like create different records and be able to, I want to have my era where I'm just fucking T-Pain and I'm on everybody's hook. And I can do that. That's the fucking thing. I'm not just boxed in. Like, I can really, really do that. And I think that comes from, one, me being able to be musically versatile, but also two, being a chameleon and being Filipino and being able to relate to so many people and just be in certain rooms. Like, the Filipino dude could just be in any room, just sitting there, and everybody would be like, oh yeah, that's, you know what I mean? That's Marvin. You know what I mean? Like, Marvin, you know what I'm saying? Like, oh, that's Marvin. He's cool. Sick. They'll just leave him to him because, like, he's like, you don't stick out like a sore thumb in a bad way. You're like, oh, he's just part of the room. Like, it is what it is. So yeah, I think that guy needs representation. I think that guy needs a voice too, because it's like, there's something so cool about that. Yeah. I think that's shout out to all the chameleons out there for sure.
Yeah, man. Shout out to all y'all. So what's next for Russell in 2024?
Man, I mean, album's gonna come out.
Remind me the name.
Dearly Loved.
Dearly Loved.
It's called Dearly Loved. That's the definition of beloved, actually, funny enough. And all these songs are like dedication songs to certain women and within certain periods of my life. And that's coming out later this month. So, just gearing up for that. And then from there, like, I really want to tour. I have other projects within the works that are, in their stages of development. And I honestly just want to, it's finally that time where I really get to show my R&B chops and show people that this is like a thing. Like, I'm fucking serious to the craziest degree. And I'm really here to box. Like, I'm not here to just put out songs and look pretty and be like, okay, cool, like, stream that. Like, I'm here to really show, like, oh, no, this is the one you get every 5 years. This is the Drake you get. This is the Billie Eilish. This is the Post Malone. I'm that. Like, it's no other thing that I am. Like, I'm a superstar. So, yeah, I think 2024 is going to be the breakout year. So I'm gearing up, man. I'm just getting ready. Bro.
I'm with that, and I'm super confident that 2024 can be that year for you.
Hell yeah, man. Thanks, dude. I mean, just like you said before, man, like, there's so many people that need that representation, and I stand for that. That's the greatest thing about what's going on right now. It's like that purpose, that point of purpose I keep saying. Like, so that's one thing that's driving me throughout this year. Just that purpose. Like, I need to do this. This is what I'm here to do. Like, I'm not here to fucking bullshit. I'm here to really make a fucking stamp.
Hell yeah.
So, yeah, man.
I'm with it, man. Well, make sure you stream Dearly Beloved when it drops.
Dearly loved.
Dearly loved.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Beloved.
Yeah.
Beloved is what that actually means.
Yeah. If you Google it, that's the definition. Yep. Dearly loved. Hell yeah.
Coming out in February 2024. Thank you for listening to the Mexipino podcast, y'all.
Hell yeah.
My name is Nico Blitz. I will speak for Jackie Ramirez at this time being. And, of course, Russell.
Thanks for having me, dude. I mean, we can't even really say. We just need the mic needs to pick up the dap.
I know, right?
Yeah. We need to. Oh wait, hold on. I'll just put it right here.
Mic dab. There we go.
Yeah, I need to dap you.
There we go.
I need to dap you just so. Oh wait, hold on. There we go. Hell yeah. But dude, thanks for having me. I appreciate it. And you know, from the content I've already watched, like I fuck with you guys, and I honestly like you guys are like. Just the content game is, you know, it's up there. Like, so I really appreciate you guys even just going hard in the paint with it. Like, I feel like both of your cultures like need a voice to like, you know, it's really cool seeing both of them mesh and actually have like a voice. So
yeah, man.
Yeah, keep doing what you do. I think it's fucking sick.
Appreciate you, bro. Peace out, y'all.
Hell yeah.